Part 23. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 221. After the children went out, Feng Qingxiu cleaned up the kitchen and returned to the main room. She was greeted by a large bunch of keys handed over by Lu Jiang. A pair of old-fashioned copper keys, as bright as new. Where did so many keys come from? Feng Qingxiu felt strange as they fell heavily in her hand. Some of the doors, cabinets, and boxes at home had old-fashioned copper locks, and some were new locks sold in department stores. Besides, she had the key to every lock. Lu Jiang smiled and said, "The locks of these keys are related to all our belongings." Feng Qingxiu immediately thought of Lu Jiang's words that day, and felt hot and heavy. Then he said, "Dad just told me yesterday that before our family built a house, his old man secretly gave away the gold and other hard currencies hidden elsewhere. It was dug out, and then buried under the homestead, right under our bedroom, very deep, because no one would dig 3 feet into the ground in our house. Moreover, if the gold is buried in the soil, there is no need to worry about improper storage, etc. We'll dig it out when there's peace." Feng Qingxiu suddenly opened her eyes wide and pointed in the direction of the bedroom. Could it be that she and her husband had been sleeping on gold? "Yes, it's under our bed." Lu Jiang showed a smile in his eyes, stretched out his hand to hold her hand, and held the key in their palms. "Some of the outside ones are under the cow pen." "Wait, you mean under the cattle pen?" Feng Qingxiu interrupted him. "That's right. There is a cellar made of glutinous rice juice and sanhe soil under the cattle pen. It is said to be so strong that even a cannonball cannot open it. Once the door made of glutinous rice juice sanhe soil is pushed open, it is tightly sealed and the inside is airtight. It's my father who is young. The cellar that she and his grandfather dug themselves did not let others know. The 4 treasures of calligraphy, paintings, books, and small antiques and jades that our family has accumulated are hidden in it, as well as some soft things that my mother and sister-in-law gave me as dowry, and the sangzi tang that my father gave me. The dharma stickers and the jewelry I gave you before were all taken out from inside." When Lu Jiang said this, he shrugged. He remembered his father saying that he was afraid that someone would dig 3 feet into the ground in the courtyard of his main house, so he deliberately chose an inconspicuous place to dig a cellar. As a result, the main hall's yard was dug with holes everywhere, and a small amount of gold and a large amount of silver coins buried under the main hall to hide it were discovered one after another, but no one visited the stables and cows' heads. Therefore, his father lived and ate in the cowshed not only because of the arrangements of the production team, but also because he wanted to protect his own property. Feng Qingxiu was stunned. "Did you just say part of it? Is there more? Aren't the Lu family just landlords? How much property do you have?" "One is hidden in the east and the other is hidden in Tibet, which can be called 3 burrows of a cunning rabbit. There are 3 more places. One is the batch of gold that my father took out and moved under our homestead. There is no need to tell you where it was hidden before. There are 4 small boxes half a foot square in total. 2 boxes were given to us by my father. Yes, 2 boxes belong to my elder brother and sister-in-law. They contain gold bricks, gold cakes, gold ingots, large and small yellow croakers. One is hidden in the deep mountains and old forests, and contains bronzes, ancient porcelain, wood carvings, and stone carvings. I originally wanted to take you to see them until I got home. I remember that I can't go into the mountain in a wheelchair, so I can only wait until I come back next time to take you there." After listening to Lu Jiang's words, Feng Qingxiu hurriedly said, "Since it has been hidden for so long without being discovered by anyone, just keep hiding it and don't open it easily." "What should I do if people notice it?" "Again, it doesn't matter whether you see it or not, just know it." Regarding the last place, Lu Jiang also told her that it was actually under the private plot to the west of the cowshed. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 222. The most valuable items are the 4 boxes of gold, the 4 treasures of the study, the books, calligraphy, paintings, antiques and jade in the cellar. This is also an important reason why Mr. Lu hides these items in front of his eyes. Gold in troubled times, antiques in prosperous times. Gold is hard currency. Based on the current situation, these 4 boxes of gold are the most valuable. As long as you have gold in your hands, you will never starve to death. It is easy to sell it on the black market and you can exchange it for cash in the bank. In the future, as living standards improve, ancient books, calligraphy, paintings, antiques and jade will dominate the world. It has always been like this in all dynasties. Feng Qingxiu was amazed. I admire our father so much, I can't describe it. What is buried under the private residence? Private land, Lu Zhang thought for a while. There shouldn't be anything too important, because the private land was originally a yard of our family. The purpose of hiding things was to hide the things from others. What is buried now is a batch that has not been discovered. I remember there is a vat of silver coins mixed with small and large yellow crokers, and several large vases and copper incense burners in iron boxes. Even so, when dividing the private land, Lu's father secretly approached Wang Zhenqiu and asked him to allocate this land to his family. I'm very curious about the origins of our ancestors. It's impossible for an ordinary landowner to accumulate such a large family property. Feng Qingxiu heard from her elders that in ancient times, real landowners owned large tracts of land, raised a herd of cattle, horses, and mules, and hired tenant farmers and long-term and short-term laborers to work. It was fine when the weather was good, but they would also lose their income when encountering natural disasters such as drought and floods. Life is not as comfortable as expected, and some landlords even ask their daughters-in-law to do housework. Such landlords are richer than ordinary people, but they rarely reach the level of the Lu family. They only have so much hidden property. What if they include the property that was confiscated? Moreover, many things passed down by the Lu family are not owned by ordinary people, such as the Sangzitang Dharma stickers, the jadeite ruyi given to her by Lu's father, and those jewelry, which have history at first glance. Lu Zhang expressed his appreciation for her keenness and said, "There is an ancestor in our family who was a Jinshi during the Qianlong period. In his later years, he reached the level of a feudal official and was deeply favored by Qianlong. The Sangzitang Dharma post was given to him by Qianlong. The ancestors of the ancestors were ordinary farmers and students for 3 generations, and they almost lost all their money to cultivate this glorious ancestor. At that time, the ancestors were prosperous and blessed 3 generations of descendants. The grandson married a princess from Baylor House. There is also a saying that if you are only rich for 3 generations, your descendants will become more and more unworthy. During the war, the eldest family moved here with their families, burying all the past. From then on, others only knew that there was a landowner, the Lu family, but they did not know the origin of the Lu family. Only the eldest family member knew the history of their family. The genealogy was currently in the hands of Lu's father and would be passed down to Lu Tianjun, the eldest grandson of the Lu family. Feng Qingxiu was stunned for a moment, then joked, "Hey, you have the royal blood of the Qing dynasty flowing in your body. What kind of bloodline is not blood? The descendants of the married princess are not surnamed Ixinjiluo. What kind of royal bloodline do they have? Bloodlines are all based on the father's family. Besides, in what era, who said that he is a descendant of the royal family? That's putting gold on his face. In fact, after 10 or 8 lifetimes, his bloodline has become very thin." Lu Zhang is self-aware. Feng Qingxiu nodded, "What you said makes sense. Judging from the current situation, if others know that our ancestors have such an origin, our family will be in trouble." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 223. The history of the Liu family represents the glory of the Liu family 100 or 200 years ago. It is the glory of the past. It is of no benefit to current life. If it is revealed, it will bring endless dangers. Therefore, Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu buried this period of history deep in their hearts. They need to live a stable life and do not need to use their past glory to label themselves as descendants of the royal family and officials. At 11 o'clock, Feng Qingxiu walked into the private plot with a bamboo basket on her arm, stepped on the soil where silver coins, small yellow crokers, vases, copper incense burners and other things were hidden, and picked dark purple eggplants one by one, red or green peppers one by one, and then I bought some chicken greens and filled a basket full of them in a moment. On my way home, I passed by the cowshed and picked a few tender loofahs from the loofah vines climbing up the wall. When I got home, I washed everything and put everything together. I peeled a few potatoes and cut them into thin strips, and then mixed them with a bowl of noodles. The black noodles were mixed with cornmeal and sweet potato noodles. The dough that came out didn't look good. Lu Zhang pushed the wheelchair over to light the fire. What should we eat for lunch? Boiled eggplant with bacon, spicy and sour potato shreds, stir-fried Chinese cabbage, stir-fried aluffa, and cooked a pot of cornmeal porridge. There are 8 people in the family, young and old, and they can't just cook one dish. I made the noodles and cooked the eggplant. Post a pot of pancakes. Just hearing the name of the dish made Lu Jiang's mouth water. Cook rice in a small pot. After the water boils, directly lower the mixed cornmeal water and stop boiling. For cooking in a large pot, stir-fry the bacon first. Add more than a kilogram of sliced bacon to the pot. Stir-fry until the oil is released. The fat will be almost transparent. Pour in shredded ginger, garlic cloves, and eggplant cubes cut with a hob. Continue to stir-fry. Add peppercorns and star anise. 5 spice powder, then pour soy sauce for color, add water, and simmer slowly. Before covering the pot, Feng Qingxiu washed her hands, grabbed the dough, flattened it with both hands, stretched it thin, and stuck it in the pot. A circle of pancakes covered the wall of the pot, and the remaining 3 pancakes were placed directly on the dish. When the juice is reduced, the vegetables can be taken out of the pan and the pancakes are cooked. The side of the pancake peeled off from the pot wall has a layer of hard and crispy rice cakes. The 3 pancakes on the vegetable soup are soft and moist after being soaked in the soup. The pancakes peeled off from the stack in the basket on top, there is the aroma of vegetables and meat. Feng Qingxiu put the vegetables into a large soup bowl and finished cooking the vegetables. Vegetarian vegetables are easy to cook and come out of the pot in a short time. All the water for washing the pots is poured into the bucket next to the stove, which is perfect for feeding livestock. She was willing to pour oil when cooking, and there was a layer of oil floating on the water used to wash the pot. Lu Zhang felt it was a pity. Actually, you don't have to fry the pot once for each dish. It's such a waste of oil. The cooking class even wished they had to pour a drop into the pot when cooking. Oil. The folks in the village usually cook vegetables in water. If they see Feng Qingxiu cooking, they will definitely blame Feng Qingxiu for wasting everything. Feng Qingxiu was stunned after hearing this. She was used to frying one dish and cleaning the pot once to prevent the 2 dishes from mixing flavors. I'll be careful in the future. Considering the current living standard, Feng Qingxiu did not insist on having her own way. She glanced at Lu Zhang with her ripple-like eyes and said with a smile, "Don't worry, as long as I am here, our family will not be short of food and clothing." Lu Zhang stared at her and said seriously, "I believe you." Although he was very curious about how Feng Qingxiu could easily obtain all kinds of scarce supplies, he had no intention of getting to the bottom of it, even though he knew that everything had nothing to do with his comrades. Many of the supplies Feng Qingxiu obtained would not appear in her hometown according to common sense. Maybe, as the little nephew said, Feng Qingxiu has a magical treasure box and can take whatever he wants. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 224. Feng Qingxiu realized that she seemed to have talked too much, and was about to touch up when she heard the children shouting and said to Lu Zhang, "You tell them to wash their hands, and I will bring the vegetables and pancakes into the house. I'll ask Tianwan and Aiken to help you." Lu Zhang came out of the kitchen and directly called Lu Tianjun and Guancheng by their names. "Wash your hands and serve the food." He then asked Lu Tianzi to ask Lu's father to eat. "Okay." Thinking about the meat that had already smelled the aroma, everyone responded very quickly. They unloaded the dung baskets, bamboo baskets, and backpacks filled with grass and wild vegetables from their shoulders, back and arms, and put them in the corner. In a cool place, then wash hands, serve dishes, and call people. Lu Zhang doesn't have to worry about it at all. During the period before Feng Qingxiu went to visit Lu Zhang, Lu's father and brother Lu Tianjun were taken care of by Feng Qingxiu. They occasionally had toothpaste rituals, not to mention Feng Qingyun. Only Guancheng and Guanyu were focused on bacon. Grill the eggplant on top. Guancheng is older and can hold his own, while Guanyu keeps sucking saliva. "Eat, eat, don't just watch." Father Lu first took down his chopsticks and took out a piece of fried lufa, followed by Lu Zhang and Feng Qingxiu. They both ate vegetarian dishes. The children took off their chopsticks like flying, and they all rushed towards the bacon, no exceptions. Guanyu took a piece of bacon, looked around, put it in Feng Qingxiu's bowl, and said with big eyes, "Auntie, eat it." He is a child of the Guan family. According to Lu's father, he looks like his father, and Lu Tianzi looks like his mother. The eldest brother and the younger sister of the Guan family look so much alike that in the eyes of outsiders, Lu Tianzi and Guanyu have the same face, nose and nose. They are more similar than real brothers, and because they are almost the same age, except that Guanyu is shorter and slimmer, they can almost be said to be twins. Moreover, they are both very close to Feng Qingxiu. "Au is so good, you can eat it too." Feng Qingxiu gave him a piece of meat. After thinking about it, she gave another piece to Lu Tianzi and Feng Qingyun. "Eat them all while they're hot, and help me wash the dishes after eating." "Good." Feng Qingxiu's impartiality made Lu Tianzi and Feng Qingyun, who were secretly sulking at themselves because Guanyu rushed to bring the food to Feng Qingxiu and fell behind, immediately narrowed their eyes with smiles. Their aunt, sister, was remembering them. So everyone was smiling. Father Lu was full of emotions. There was a difference between a house with a mistress and a house without a mistress. Only a house with a mistress looked like a home. Look, the children had smiles on their faces all the time. However, Feng Qingxiu was thinking about the recommendation letter that Dr. Guo wrote to her, so she found a time to go to the mining area hospital with Lu Zhang and bring gifts. They did not find Wu Zheng directly, but asked people about Wu Zheng's residence. Knowing that Wu Zheng lived in a large courtyard behind the hospital, the two of them looked at the off-duty time, watched Wu Zheng walk into the courtyard, and then knocked on the door. Someone had previously told them about Wu Zheng's appearance and characteristics. The person who opened the door for them was a young man. He stared at the young man and woman in front of him and said in a fierce voice, "Who are you looking for?" "We're looking for Dr. Wu Zheng." "Does Dr. Wu live here?" After listening to Feng Qingxiu's words and seeing that she was fair and beautiful, the boy nodded immediately with a very good attitude. "Dr. Wu lives in our compound." "Did you seek medical treatment from him?" He noticed that Dr. Wu was sitting in a wheelchair. "Lu Zhang." Feng Qingxiu smiled and said, "We have something to do with him. Can you take us to Dr. Wu?" "All right." The boy led them through the clothes pole in the courtyard where clothes, swaddles, and diapers were hung to dry, and walked to the door of the main room. He said loudly, "Dr. Wu, Dr. Wu, someone is looking for you. There is a person in a wheelchair. Maybe he is looking for you to see a doctor." Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 225. After the words fell, an old man about 50 years old came out of the house. He is extremely tall and thin, with gray hair, rosy complexion, and energy that is different from ordinary people at first glance. He looks very rigid and serious, with no smile at all on his face. "Which one of you is looking for me?" Wu Zheng looked at Feng Qingxiu and Lu Zhang. "Hello, Dr. Wu." The wheelchair moved forward driven by Feng Qingxiu. Lu Zhang straightened his back and respectfully saluted Wu Zheng. "My wife and I have taken the liberty of visiting. Please forgive me." Hearing the word lover, Feng Qingxiu's heartstrings vibrated, but she didn't realize how bright the smile on her face was. Lu Zhang, who is dressed in military uniform, is particularly easy to win everyone's favor. Wu Zheng turned sideways and said, "Come in and talk." Feng Qingxiu pushed Lu Zhang into the main room. A woman about the same age as Wu Zheng's wife, was mending clothes in the room. When she saw them, she was stunned. Her eyes fell on Feng Qingxiu, and he couldn't help showing a kind smile. "Ah, what a handsome boy. Did you come to see Lao Wu for medical treatment?" Feng Qingxiu handed over the gift and letter and said, "Hello, Aunt, we have taken the liberty to come here. First, we want to ask Dr. Wu to diagnose my lover's pulse and see how his current condition is and whether there is anything that needs attention. Second, we want to ask Dr. Wu to diagnose my lover's pulse. Well, Dr. Guo asked us to send a letter to Dr. Wu. It's because we and I have something to ask for. Just come." "What gift can you bring?" Mrs. Wu took the letter and handed it to Wu Zheng. "How can I be empty-handed if I have something to ask for?" After hearing Feng Qingxiu's words, Mrs. Wu couldn't stop laughing. "Don't worry, come empty-handed, Lao Wu and I won't kick you out." After Wu Zheng read the letter, he looked at Feng Qingxiu. "Do you want to study medicine?" "Yes." "Why?" "Why?" Feng Qingxiu thought for a while and said seriously, "Are you listening to the situation or the truth?" A smile appeared on Wu Zheng's serious face. "Of course I'm telling the truth. I've heard so many superficial words that I've long been tired of hearing them. To be honest, I want to study medicine, not to win the reputation of being the apricot grove that helps the world. I just want to take care of my family and ensure the health of them and their friends." Feng Qingxiu's expression was very serious. "We live in the countryside, I know too well the situation of lack of medical treatment and medicine in the countryside. Neighbors, villagers, family, and friends, no matter whether they are suffering from serious illnesses or minor injuries, they are all suffering. Minor injuries and minor illnesses will be fine once you get over them, but serious illnesses and serious injuries cannot be overcome. Just wait for death." Thinking of Hungling's child dying just after birth, the seriousness on Feng Qingxiu's face turned into sadness. Many times, serious illnesses are caused by delayed minor illnesses. If they were treated when they first got sick, they would not have to lose their lives. In the countryside, the infant mortality rate is extremely high. Improper delivery and improper postpartum care have also caused many children to lose their mothers after birth. Dr. Wu, I don't have high ambitions. I want to start by treating minor illnesses. At least to ensure that family members and friends can receive proper and correct treatment when they suffer from minor illnesses, and will not turn into serious illnesses that cannot be cured." Wu Zheng listened quietly, his expression unchanged. On the contrary, Mrs. Wu was very moved and took Feng Qingxiu's hand. "It's really good that you have such a heart, not bad. Regardless of whether you have the talent to study medicine or not, your heart will make you qualified to practice medicine. Doctors have a benevolent heart, and only with benevolence can one be a truly good doctor." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 226. Facing Mrs. Wu's praise, Feng Qingxiu couldn't take it seriously. She looked directly at Wu Zheng with a pair of black and white eyes, eagerly hoping that Wu Zheng would give her an answer. She really wanted to learn good medical skills. Wu Zheng didn't say anything, but talked about the basic knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine. Feng Qingxiu reacted very quickly and immediately continued what he said. Over the past few days, she had been reciting it painstakingly and had memorized many of the contents by heart. Of course, she knew that rote memorization was useless, but learning Chinese medicine started with rote memorization. Not bad. After Wu Zheng finished speaking, he did not continue. Mrs. Wu said, "What do you mean? Do you agree or disagree? Didn't you say before that in the field of traditional Chinese medicine, you have to live and learn, and life experience and cultural knowledge are very important? In ancient times, many of the country's most famous doctors only entered the medical field after they were 40 years old. I think this kid is only 20 years old, and he has such a good heart, so he is not unqualified." After hearing Mrs. Wu's words, Feng Qingxiu was greatly moved and looked at Wu Zheng eagerly. Wu Zheng said calmly, "If I decide whether to accept you as my disciple just because of your words, my family background as Wu Zheng is too low. Well, I think Xiao Guo should have given you a lot of basic knowledge for you to memorize. Memorize, I will delete it based on the book list she gave you. Whether you go find it yourself or buy it, continue reading, read it by heart, memorize it, and become familiar with it, and then understand the meaning thoroughly. After a month let me test you again. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me at that time." Feng Qingxiu was overjoyed and thanked her repeatedly. Although Wu Zheng did not relent in accepting a disciple, he gave her the opportunity to learn, which greatly exceeded her expectations. Following such a doctor, even if she is not a direct disciple, learning a little bit will benefit her throughout her life. As expected, Wu Zheng made several lists of books for her. Most of the contents were the same as those listed by Dr. Guo, but they were more detailed and contained many relatively uncommon medical books. In addition, Wu Zheng also listed many cultural books, as well as Taoist books, which have nothing to do with medicine. Our medicine is actually derived from the inheritance of Taoist culture. It focuses on the theory of yin and yang and the 5 elements. If you learn these contents, there are only benefits and no harm. Wu Zheng explained briefly. Real Chinese medicine has reached a certain level. The treatment method is to look, smell, ask and feel, the most important of which is to take pulse. By taking pulse, you will know where the problem is and what prescription and how to treat it. Feng Qingxiu listened respectfully. "Sir, I remember." Hearing the word "sir," Wu Zheng's expression softened slightly. Xiao Guo said, "You are very talented. What do you know now?" Feng Qingxiu said embarrassedly, "How can I say anything in front of you? I just learned a little basic care from the doctors and nurses in the hospital, how to give first aid, how to bandage, how to change dressings, how to give injections, and what to do with common colds, fever, diarrhea, and other symptoms. I learned some Chinese and Western medicines by heart, and also learned about delivery and postpartum care from obstetrics and gynecology doctors and nurses. This is the most basic and common situation, and it is also what is most needed in the countryside. As for other things, she really doesn't know how to do it. Although when she was studying medical books, she knew what medicines were used for the symptoms recorded in the books, but she didn't know how to take pulses, acupuncture, massage, etc., and she didn't dare to give people casual treatment prescriptions. Medicine. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 227. After Wu Zheng heard this, he turned around and walked into the west room. When he came out, he took out a thick stack of notes and touched them several times before handing them to Feng Qingxiu. Traditional Chinese medicine is vast and profound, and you may not be able to fully understand it in your lifetime. I actually practiced Tongzi Kung Fu when I was studying medicine. This is a record of my study from childhood to formal medical practice. From the shallower to the deeper, I have treated many minor illnesses such as colds, fevers, diarrhea, etc. The methods are included in it and are very detailed. You should study it carefully and learn it carefully first. The last thing is to learn it well. Feng Qingxiu took it with both hands. Thank you, sir. I will work hard and live up to your expectations. Wu Zheng sighed. The poorer and backward the place, the more lack of medical treatment and medicine. In the city, there is a staff hospital, but in the countryside there is not even a health clinic. This situation has been reported to the police for a long time, but no children have been recruited. After more than 100 years of war, the country is poor and has a severe shortage of doctors. There is no money or time to train more doctors. Although you do not have a medical qualification, saving people is like putting out fires. If someone among you is sick and injured, you can. According to the symptoms recorded in the books and notes, we will provide appropriate help to the sick and injured people. No one will say that this behavior is wrong. Feng Qingxiu, who was not even half skilled, had only a rough knowledge of medical science, but her existence was no less than a savior for the rural people who had no doctors or medicinal materials. Feng Qingxiu was stunned for a moment, then responded solemnly. She always thought that she was not qualified to practice medicine at present. It turned out that no one would care whether she was qualified or not. In this way, she should study actively and strive to master basic medical skills as soon as possible. Sir, please take a look at my lover's recovery. There are still 4 shrapnels in his arms and legs that have not been removed. Let me see. Facing the soldiers who serve the country and the people, Wu Zheng has nothing to say. He checked Lu Jiang's pulse for a while, then asked about the operation and recovery process in detail, and asked about the diagnosis results of the military hospital, etc., and finally said, although the qi and blood are strong, except for the shrapnel that has not been taken out, there are a lot of hidden wounds all over the body. Then how should we treat it? Feng Qingxiu became anxious when she heard that Lu Jiang had hidden injuries. Stick to the conditioning and it won't affect your lifespan. Wu Zheng wrote 2 prescriptions and handed them to her with a stroke of his pen. Follow the prescription and cook it 3 times a day for him to eat. I'll get you 2 more bottles of my own recipe. Apply the medicated oil to the affected area every day and massage it to allow the medicinal properties to penetrate into the texture. I have written down the formula of the medicated oil on another sheet. It can also be used if joints and tendons are injured during daily training. Rub and rub with medicated oil to activate blood circulation and remove blood stasis, relieve pain, and reduce swelling. When he brought out the medicinal oil, he asked Feng Qingxiu to push Lu Jiang to follow him to the study. He took off his coat and only wore large underpants. He lay on the acupuncture bed. Except for the bandaged arms and legs, many acupuncture points were inserted all over his body. Got the golden needle. He pulled out the needle on his chest, asked him to turn over and lie down, and started moxibustion on the acupuncture points on his back. Feng Qingxiu was so distressed that she burst into tears. Silly girl, don't cry. Didn't Dr. Wu say that? It's okay. It can be cured lying on the bed. Lu Jiang endured the discomfort caused by acupuncture and turned to comfort his wife. I will definitely take good care of my body. After the acupuncture, Wu Zheng gave him another massage. Perhaps because the meridians were dredged, Lu Jiang felt a lot lighter. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 228. Feng Qingxiu was filled with surprise when she heard him express her feelings. She admired Wu Zheng so much that she was extremely grateful at the same time. Wu Zheng said while wiping the needles, "Come to my place every 2 days or 3 days. A month of continuous acupuncture and massage, plus internal and external conditioning, it's basically the same. Without acupuncture, there is no massage, no massage. You can only wait for the shrapnel to be removed from the arms and legs that cannot be applied with medicinal oil, and then come to me after the wound is healed. If you are in the army and cannot come back, you can go to Xiao Guo and her niece. Both of them are experts in Western medicine. They use a lot of techniques, but few people know that they are proficient in acupuncture and massage. After hearing this, Feng Qingxiu and Lu Jiang thanked her again and asked if they could go to the mining area hospital to buy medicine and prepare it. When Lu Jiang was receiving acupuncture and massage, Feng Qingxiu had already read 2 prescriptions. Unfortunately, most of the medicines stored in the space were Western medicine and Chinese patent medicines. There were very few Chinese medicines that could be directly dispensed and were relatively expensive. The Chinese medicinal materials she bought with great effort were ginseng, deer antler, donkey hide gelatin, wolfberry, safflower, astragalus, and tiankai, which she bought with great effort in the production area. Okay. The mining area hospital is a hospital that specializes in serving workers such as miners and coal plants. People often get bruises and injuries. There is a Chinese medicine pharmacy. The medicinal materials are not complete, but they are worthy of the prescriptions I gave you. After the meal, Wu Zheng took them to prepare medicine. Wu Zheng and Mrs. Wu insisted on leaving them to eat. Fortunately, they were accustomed to bringing their own dry food, so they agreed. While helping Mrs. Wu work, Feng Qingxiu finally understood why Lu Jiang said he was wasted, because she found that when Mrs. Wu fried wilted eggplants, she only used gauze dipped in some oil to wipe the bottom of the pot. Seeing this scene, Feng Qingxiu felt ashamed. Knowing that Lu Jiang and Feng Qingxiu were not short of money, Wu Zheng prepared enough medicinal materials for them at once. The large and small bags of medicinal materials were loaded onto the mule cart and cost a few dollars in total. Feng Qingxiu, on the other hand, was concerned about the shortage of doctors and medicines in Kahua Brigade and Wanglu Brigade, and begged him to help her and her husband buy some commonly used medicines to take back, but she was unable to do so because the hospital was extremely strict about medicine management. If you are a worker, you can get free medical treatment and medicine. Lu Jiang and Feng Qingxiu were neither, but Wu Zheng had an upright temperament and would not use his authority to seek personal gain for others, so the two of them spent the money, but they spent it willingly. Father Lu was very happy when he found out. Fortunately, Feng Qingxiu wanted to study medicine and went to visit Wu Zheng. Otherwise, if Lu Jiang's hidden injury was allowed to develop, the consequences would be disastrous. Hidden injuries are internal injuries. External injuries are easy to cure, but internal injuries are difficult to heal and difficult to detect. Father Lu praised Feng Qingxiu as the lucky star of the family. Dad, please don't laugh at me. I can't bear the word lucky star. It is my luck and a Jiang's luck to meet Mr. Wu and be treated sincerely by Mr. Wu, Feng Qingxiu said while make the medicinal oil according to the method written by Wu Zhenji on the recipe, and try to use it directly after the 2 bottles of medicinal oil are used up. Father Lu and Lu Jiang helped together. After finishing their work, the old man said to Feng Qingxiu, "There should be a lot of medical classics in our family's collection of books. Throughout the ages, many literati know a little about medicine, and I also know a little about health preservation. I will naturally collect such books. I will find them for you at night when no one is paying attention." Then thank you, Dad. Feng Qingxiu had read the book list. She didn't have all the medical books collected in her space, and she was worried about this matter. Because there was no bookstore in the city, she could only try her luck at the scrapyard. You're welcome, family. There are no valuable single copies in the Lu family's collection. To put it bluntly, this is a common problem among literati. They believe that cultural classics are more valuable than jewelry, jade, and antiques, so they first hide books, calligraphy, and paintings with cultural value, and then consider gold and silver. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Back to the 60s, The Struggle Career of a Charmed Wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 229. Next, Feng Qingxiu was completely busy, feeling that there was not enough time all the time. In addition to taking care of the housework, she took care of Lu Zhang while at the same time studying medical books and the medical records of doctors Wu Zheng and Guo, identifying acupuncture points, medicinal materials, and memorizing various prescriptions. There is an extreme shortage of medicines in the countryside. Both Wu Zheng and Wang Zhenqiu have answered Feng Qingxiu's questions. Because the country has extremely strict regulations in this regard, medicines are distributed according to proportions every year, and various employee hospitals in the city can get some. But it was not the turn of the commune and the production brigade at all, so Feng Qingxiu traveled through mountains and rivers every day to collect herbs, which was regarded as learning and applying them. Nature is a natural treasure house and the greatest gift to mankind. In this era of hunger and poverty, it was a grain depot and a pharmacy. Dandelion, wild chrysanthemum, white amaranth, motherwort, nettle, nightshade, prunella vulgaris, plantain, wild mint, ghost grass, cocklebur, grey cabbage, purslane, Artemisia annua, cumuldera, wild shepherd's purse, honeysuckle, mugwort, all over the mountains and plains, each of them is a common wild vegetable and Chinese herbal medicine in life. Winter melon rind, winter melon kernels, loofah vines, earthworms, cicada sloughs, mulberry branches, and mulberry leaves, everything can be used as medicine. Feng Qingxiu picked all the plants and non-plants that were included in Chinese medicinal materials and prepared them according to the methods in the book. Although it is not needed now, who can guarantee that it will not be needed in the future? It's right to prepare in advance, don't fight an unprepared battle. For this reason, she and Guancheng Lu Tianjun went to the nearby scrap stations. They made several trips and bought a lot of books. They also brought back several carts of old furniture and wood. First, they asked a carpenter to knock out some. The medicine cabinet stood in the west side room, and the rest was pieced together to make 2 beds. One was placed in the east side room, and the other was sent to the cowshed for Lu's father to use. There are good and bad woods. The good ones are used for medicine cabinets, while the ordinary ones are used for beds. At the same time, Feng Qingxiu also taught Guancheng, Lu Tianjun, Zhang He, area and other older children to identify common and easy to recognize herbs. After working on the farm, she dug wild vegetables and hunted pigweed. When she came across the familiar herbs, she picked them back and gave them to herself. Concocted, taught them some simple hygiene knowledge, told them that prevention is more important than treatment after illness, and then persuaded Wang Zhenqiu to record work points according to their contribution. Perhaps because of the incident where Guan Yu was seriously ill and almost died, Guancheng made a request to learn medical skills from Feng Qingxiu. Aiken, I'm not even a beginner. At present, I can only identify herbal medicines, identify human acupuncture points, memorize a few prescriptions, or recite the compendium of Materia Medica, Huangdi Niajing. How can I teach you? You, study hard in school. In the future, I will look for opportunities to formally learn the art from my master. Feng Qingxiu thinks that she has only scratched the surface, so how can she dare to accept apprentices casually? Guancheng insisted, I will learn simple basic knowledge from Ant first. The profound medical skills will be studied in depth when I have the opportunity in the future. He carefully discovered the benefits of studying medicine. He was thinking about the future of himself and his brother. Although it is the beginning of autumn, the crops in the fields require farmers to work hard all the time, and both men and women have to go to work. Many people originally complained about Feng Qingxiu's behavior of wandering in the mountains and fields without working. When they learned that Feng Qingxiu was collecting medicine to alleviate the dilemma of lack of medical treatment and medicine in her production brigade, they immediately expressed great concern. Support, even if 2 or 3 jealous people say something unpleasant, they will be suppressed immediately by everyone. Back to the 60s, the struggle career of a charmed wife. Author, Ning Xiaobai. Chapter 230. There are no doctors or medicines, but people often get sick, especially children. Countless people die when they are born. Those who are alive have to be infected with diseases countless times from childhood to adulthood. In the end, if you survive, you will survive. If you cannot survive, you can only wait. Die. The extent to which poor people desire doctors is evident. It was obvious that they had placed all their hopes on Feng Qingxiu, who had the opportunity to study medicine, and they fully fulfilled what the young, middle-aged, and old people had promised at the wedding banquet on the day she and Lu Zhang got married. Carrying such heavy expectations, Feng Qingxiu studied harder and harder, not daring to slack off at all. Guancheng saw it in his eyes and remembered it in his heart. He was different from Lu Tianjun. Lu Tianjun planned to follow Lu Jiang's path and join the army when he turned 18. He had a grandfather and an aunt at home who could take care of his younger brother. By then, his younger brother would be a little older, so he felt relieved. He only has a younger brother, and he will definitely be scared if he leaves. Choosing to stay, the only way to pursue a career in literature is to go into medicine, because the outside world persecutes scholars extremely hard, and they scream every day. Even if it seems to have subsided in the past few years, it will definitely cause a wave of madness in the future. This is what he heard Father Lu say in a casual conversation, and he remembered it deeply in his heart, and he did not dare to follow the same path as his father and ancestors. Father Lu and Lu Zhang strongly agreed with Guancheng's ideas and determination. Let's not talk about the principle of not being overwhelmed by one's talents. In this era, doctors are far easier to win the favor of the people than people in other professions, which is beneficial to the two brothers' future foothold. Even if the details of the two brothers are leaked, the people will not say anything because they are all waiting for Guancheng to save their lives. Didn't the old, middle-aged, and young people of the Wanglu Brigade make this promise to the Lu family at the wedding banquet? The most important thing is that Lu Zhang vaguely heard that the country and the military have been studying the issue of family members accompanying the army. Forget it before the founding of the People's Republic of China. Many troops were traveling here and there and could not bring their families with them. After the founding of the People's Republic of China, most of them were stationed in fixed military areas. Soldiers with families cannot stay with their loved ones, which may easily lead to other things. Therefore, sooner or later, the country will issue a policy of accompanying the military. According to Lu Jiang's estimate based on various sources, relevant policies will definitely be released within 3 years at most. By then, Lu Zhang would of course hope that Feng Qingxiu would take her child to live with him in the army. Dr. Guo also said in the hospital that if Feng Qingxiu studied hard, then the army would have reason to arrange for her to work in the army. If Guancheng succeeds in his studies and stays in Wanglu Brigade to treat the people, he won't have to worry about Feng Qingxiu's medical problems after he leaves. Since Lu Zhang felt that studying medicine in Guancheng was a way out, Feng Qingxiu did not refuse and taught Guancheng while studying on his own. Although she only learned basic knowledge, she is an adult, has certain cultural literacy, and has certain understanding ability. She is far better than Guancheng, who only read a few enlightenment books with her father when she was a child. She is naturally qualified to teach him how to get started. It's a pity that school will start in Guancheng soon. But he is very perseverant and calm. He makes time to study after school. For this reason, Lu Zhang and his eldest nephew Lu Tianjun shared most of the housework, and because Wu Zhen wanted to give him continuous acupuncture for a month, he was unable to return to the hospital for a review within the 2-month period mentioned by Dr. Guo, so he sent a telegram. The request to extend the holiday for 20 days was agreed by the army and the hospital. The main reason was that no one knew Wu Zheng's abilities better than D'Arguo.